Welcome to the Real Estate Leadership Show. As you can see, we have our mascot down here at the bottom of the screen rolling around on the floor here in the studio, making noises. My name is Turner Cavender.
I'm Travis Hitt.
And that's Charlie down there, the golden retriever, the mascot of the show. Let's go ahead and jump into the topic. Today's topic is going to be purchasing Airbnbs versus rentals, residential rentals, the pros and cons to it. But before we jump into the show and get deep into the information for you guys to make the best decision when it comes to your real estate journey, is we'd like to ask you to comment, give us a share, like our show, subscribe on our iTunes and our YouTube channel. If you see it on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or anything, please give it a share. We never know who this could impact and help, and that's why we're here, is to serve you. So, right. Travis, let's go ahead and talk about this. It's actually something that could save you a lot of money if you don't know this knowledge. Mm-hmm. There's pros and cons to both, whether it's an Airbnb property or it's a long-term, whether it's a home or condo that's going to be long-term, maybe it's a year or 6 months. So it's more of a long-term. Airbnb is short-term. Just kind of help you out understand that. So let's dive into it, man.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get it. So obviously, traditional rentals have been around forever, where Airbnb is newer. It's not new, but it is far newer than traditional rentals. And like he said, there's pros and cons to both. Your traditional rent home, you're locking in the same monthly amount for a full year term or whatever you negotiate for that tenant to be in the house. You know exactly what you're getting every single month. You can budget, you can plan off of, and you can invest off of that. When it comes to an Airbnb, you are banking and you are anticipating it being rented out a certain amount of days per month to accumulate a certain amount.
It's not guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed.
If it can be booked or not.
Right. So most people have their own algorithms of what they need, and they say, okay, I need it to be rented out 40% of the month or 60% of the month to cover my mortgage, and then everything else is profit. Typically, I'll say this, Airbnb purchases do typically make you more money a year on an annual basis than a standard rent.
It definitely yields a lot higher.
Yes. It does. But you also run the risk. You don't know what will happen economically. You don't know what will happen in your area. So I tell people
even the renters or the tenants that in that short period of time, they
correct,
have a crazy party.
Now you're dealing with multiple different people in your home than just the same tenants on a yearly basis. So there is more risk in buying an Airbnb property because you have to hope that it's rented out X amount of days a month to make you that profit. But most of the time, it does far exceed the annual return that a traditional rental property will.
So what is your, out of the clientele that like experience? I mean, I've had both. I'll share mine, but I want to hear yours first because you've been in the industry a lot longer than me. I have been in the industry for almost 3 years, and you have?
Since 2012.
Okay, how years? Come
on. 11, roughly.
11.
Coming up.
We both have different experience levels here, and so you probably have experienced more long-term rentals purchases, right?
Yep.
So with that, you've also had some Airbnb purchases, correct?
As it's gotten more popular, yeah.
Yeah. What do you feel like, just from your clientele, before we get into a little bit more information, what do you feel like people like more? Before we get into some of the restrictions that some of the cities have put on, right?
Right.
That didn't happen in the past.
Yeah. I can definitely say more people are leaning towards Airbnb because of now what we have here. And the reason we didn't have many Airbnbs is you have to have an attraction to bring different people to an area on a normal basis. To where we are for years, we didn't have a lot of attractions that people are vacationing. Nobody vacationed to Frisco, Texas, or Prosper, Texas, or Allen, Texas. It was more of a residential city. Now that we have all of the commercial aspects and entertainment aspects in our areas, more and more people are coming here for the weekend, for parties, for visiting, for sports games, for music, and different big entertainment venues. So Airbnbs are getting far more popular. That is now putting a little bit of pushback on our cities to where one major city has now mandated and has been passed that you cannot buy or use a home as an Airbnb. This is devastating to a lot of people that purchase homes using them as an Airbnb because they'll go find neighborhoods that are not in an HOA because most HOAs do not allow short-term rentals in most short-term rentals qualify on HOAs as 6 months or shorter.
Okay.
So whenever a city comes in and says, hey, no more Airbnbs, you have to turn that into a traditional rental home, which is still great.
Yeah.
But they're now not making the income that they thought they would on a monthly basis and an annual basis.
Change your whole business plan.
Right, because somebody buying an Airbnb, I can say typically they would be willing to pay more money for a home than a traditional renter because somebody's ROI, rate of return, or
we use a lot of abbreviations. You're getting good at it now.
Sorry, I said it's not rate of return; it's return on investment.
Yeah.
A ROI on an Airbnb typically is going to be higher. So if they were willing to outbid or pay more on a property, knowing that they're going to Airbnb it out, if that gets shut down, now you have to go back to doing a traditional rental
long term.
Now your return on investment may not be the same as what you anticipated. So there is risk in renting Airbnbs, and I'm not doing this at all to steer people away from buying Airbnbs because I'm building a home in Oklahoma to be used as an Airbnb. So there's a ton of benefits for it, and it's going to continue to be a massive, profitable organization and way to purchase homes. But I like for people to understand risk and reward in everything that they do.
Yeah, there's a pros and cons to all that. So we kind of nailed the pro and cons to the Airbnb. So let's go ahead and shift gears and go into the residential rental, which is a long term. There are pros and cons to that as well. Now, the cons that you'll need to understand is some of the areas or the HOAs of where that home is, there might be some restrictions of it. Now, it could be the point of there's a certain amount of percentage of homes that can be a rental in that HOA, or you might have to live in the home for a certain amount of time before you can turn it into a rental for a long term. What are some other cons? I mean, I know there's cons to it, but obviously you can get a really bad tenant and all that stuff.
Yeah, you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally explained this yesterday to a client. Or I guess 2 days ago, we put their house on the market for lease, and the first person that saw it that I showed, they wanted to apply. Well, they turned out to be great tenants on paper, but my client, they thought about waiting to get more, and I explained to them, why wait to get more applications if you have a really good tenant? Because the fact of the matter is, somebody can look really pretty on paper. You don't really know what they're going to be like until you actually rent on the home, though. So that is one negative about a traditional renter is you have to have faith and trust that somebody's going to treat your home right, because by the end of that lease term, they may not have been the best tenants, and you have to go in and fix a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like for instance, I had a neighbor literally about, 4 houses down from me, and the home is literally the exact same as mine. And the tenant was great.
Yeah.
It's a great tenant that lived there, but all of a sudden stopped paying rent for about 4 months. So if you think about it, you have to pay your own current mortgage that you currently live in right now, and then that mortgage as well. And then plus the amount of time that it takes to fix it up and then release it to the next person. We had to go over there and literally evict them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother topic, but evicting
thing.
somebody in Texas is extremely hard.
Yeah. It took 4 months.
Yeah.
The sheriff came. It was a whole deal. But that is a con. But, before that, great tenant, paying her mortgage and all that stuff. Her rent. But there are benefits to it. Obviously, compounding your wealth and building cash flow for your lifestyle. Yep. And, continue to do that. There was a thing that was on the internet. I thought it was really, really cool. On the interweb. I guess it was just social media, but the first rental home you get pays for a portion of your mortgage. Okay. The second one pays for your mortgage and your groceries. The third one pays for your lifestyle, and can replace your job that you currently have. Yeah. And continue on for your lifestyle. It's building and compounding your wealth and your lifestyle. And like I said in a previous or prior episodes, real estate is a really good way. And I know that just sounds weird and vindictive that I'm saying that because I'm an agent, but before, I wish I knew this information 100%. When I was renting. Like, I purchased my home and I rented out the other rooms to my roommates and it paid my mortgage, so therefore I could have started this journey a long time ago. Yeah, and I would have been in a way better position now, right? Agreed. It's just educated base, and I'm really excited about growing my portfolio in real estate, and So what are some other? Let's get back on. I know I just steered off. But
Yeah, no, I want to touch back on two things.
I can just tell you, like, come on, Turner, get back on topic.
No, I love it. We're real and raw here, baby. When you were talking about the cons, two of the biggest things that you have to watch out for when you're buying rental homes, if it's in an HOA, the two biggest rules are, one, if it's in typically it's a higher price point neighborhood, is you have to live in that home for at least 1 year before they'll allow you to rent it out. So that's one, because a lot of HOAs nowadays, they won't sell a home a lot of times if you're buying it as an investment. They will sell it to you knowing that you're going to turn it into an investment, but you have to buy it as a owner-occupant for at least a year. Not in every community, but it is becoming more and more normal in communities.
My house is that way.
Yeah, my house is that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second biggest thing is most HOA communities, they don't say, no, you can't have rental properties in here, but they will say we have a cap. And so the typical cap is either 15 to 20%. So let's just use 20. Once 20% of the homes that are in that neighborhood are rented out, they will cut off being able to have more rentals in the neighborhood. Now, there are people out there that still go ahead and do it. And again, that's the risk versus reward. I tell clients that do that, hey, that's on you. If you get caught, you'll deal with it. But there's that cap that most HOA communities have. So before you think about buying a rental property in an HOA community, make sure you do the right due diligence, or have your agent do the right due diligence to verify that you can purchase that property and you're not past the cap to be able to rent it out.
Yeah. You need to do that whether you're looking at it as an Airbnb and a long term. Because what if I'm going to be honest with you, there's 2 homes on this street that are being purchased they're by the same person. He can't rent them out.
Yeah, legally.
Yeah, he can't legally.
Yeah.
And
a lot of people don't know the HOA is the only other person other than your mortgager that can put a lien on your property and take your home. So people are like, oh, I'm not worried about the HOA. You should, because they actually have a lot more power than people think.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So we're on pros. Okay, we didn't say anything.
Wait, it's not your client that's buying the 2, is it?
No, it's not. No, because I would have told the person, like, dude, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a good idea. But because I live on the water here, and I go paddleboarding past it, and I was just thinking, I was like,
way to brag.
They cannot print those out. Like, when he finds out.
Yeah. Pros. So pros of buying a traditional rental home rather than an Airbnb is the consistency and the assurity of what you're going to get. So where Airbnb, you don't really know on a monthly basis if it's going to be rented out 30% of the time or 78% of the time. But in a traditional rental home, it's rented out 100% of the time every month for the lease term. So you're able to budget better. You're able to accumulate a certain amount of money knowing what it is that you're going to get, better projections. You can also, you can do this on Airbnbs as well, but it's newer, that I don't want to speak on it too much, but on a traditional rental home, it can also allow you to buy other properties because you can leverage your rent amount as an investment, as income. So
Which can help you get the mortgage on the next place.
Correct. Right? Yeah, because it's true income. And the difference between Airbnb and a traditional rental is Airbnb is not guaranteed, to where when you have a secured and executed lease, you can give that to a lender as additional income.
Yep. Okay, great.
So those are more of the pros, is the stability, knowing what you're going to get every single year, every single month.
Yeah. So I believe we hit both pros and cons on the Airbnb and the long term, which is residential or condo, whatever it is for your long term. Is there anything else you'd like to give these beautiful people information on this topic?
No, because I don't want to bore you. If you want to have another conversation, we are very approachable and very easy to get in contact with.
Yeah, so with that being said, we will have a link in the description or the comment box of this show, whether it's on iTunes or on YouTube. You can simply click that, schedule a call with us. You can also just simply go, whether you're trying to buy, lease, or sell, you can select those options, educate yourself on that, see some client and testimonials, so you don't just take our word for it. They're actually real words from them and photos, so they're not fake robots. Right? Go ahead and reach out to us by clicking on that link and scheduling a call with us. If you simply just want to know about Airbnbs or long term, what should you do in your walk of life, we'll be happy to help you out. Thank you for stopping by and lending us your eyes and ears for this show. When you think about real estate leadership.